It was so fun to have the kids here, and I'm so grateful for Linda and for Kim and for all the joy, Linda Hancock and Linda Holmes both, and all the people who participated. It was so much fun. We couldn't help but bring it to you to feel the goodness of all the truth that flows through all these pathways to God, to the one presence and one power. And we're so energized by it that we want to do that somehow next year in 2019 for us. So just know that's going to be coming in 2019 in some capacity. So yeah, thank you, Kim. Thank you, love. So today we're bringing ourselves to life, and we have been on a journey this year of imagining, a courage to imagine. And if you will, with me for a moment, can you imagine your life in a whole new level of experience and expression that you've ever experienced before? We've been in this process of the first quarter of going within, the courage to go within, and the process of looking at our shadows, and the process of integrating that shadow into the wholeness of the light of the human being that we are, of the spiritual being that we're emerging into. And then in the second quarter, we were learning about the courage to soar. So we're in touch with who we are, and we're allowing that presence and that power that is within us and all around us to allow us, to lift us, to love us into a full expression of being who we are. We don't have to die to be who we are. We are who we are, and we're meant to be that in this world. And so today begins a whole new quarter. We are going into the process of the courage to connect. Now that we know who we are, we know that God and the Spirit of the life is with us and for us, we want to bring that into the world in a whole new way, in a whole new capacity. And I can't think of anyone better to share this platform with today than Tamika Scott Tipton. She is our volunteer coordinator, and this human being is love in expression. She's in a package, which is really great because we get to hug her. If you would, welcome her to the platform with me. Yay. Hi, sweet soul.
Hello. Hi, Unity.
About a month ago, Tamika came to me, and she was so full of the joy of service and how powerful that plays out in our lives. She was like, I want to bring this to the congregation. How can we do that? And I said, I don't know, but let's think about it, and let's let it gestate and marinate in it. So we did that for about a month, and that's what brought us here today to have this opportunity to converse, to learn more about you, Tamika, and to learn about the role of service in life. And so we've had some joy of conversation in the last month and a half about this, and I've learned so much more about you. And about that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And this beautiful being has fallen not far from her grandmother and her mother. And so why don't you tell us just a little bit about your grandmother or your mothers?
Yeah, so I'm very fortunate. I had 4 beautiful praying grandmothers who all had a deep love of God and service. And I was speaking about a grandmother who sung at her own funeral. If you're interested, we'll talk about that later. But I'm thinking about right now my grandma and grandpa, Lillian and James, who actually helped build their church, like literally hammers and nails, because they felt very much like the people who built this beautiful place, that there should be a place where we could come together and worship in community. My grandmother, Madi, she was the first love of my life. If you want someone to just, you feel that intensity of love, that was her. You could come to her house if you needed a dime. You could come if you needed a meal. But she was always looking for ways to serve. And that was her way of being and showing divinity in this place. She really was an angel.
An angel, and yet in a package that was challenged, was it not?
Absolutely. Yeah. Her body did not do what, we'd like for it to do. She had elephantitis, which caused great swelling in her legs and pain and discomfort. And she was still just this radiant person. The body was just a package. Her soul was bigger than that body. And she gave me that. I love her.
Yeah, and you loved her.
Oh, yes.
Dearly. I heard you say to me that she was your first massage client.
Yes. After university, I always wanted to go and become a massage therapist. So moving to California, I got that opportunity. But before that, I used to, when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, rub her legs with lotion and Vaseline oil, whatever I could find. And I found that it gave her joy. And it's, they said, take a job that you would do for free. And I did it for free for years. But it was really it was divine, because I had no instruction other than what I got from my grandmother. Yeah.
So here's a situation that life just doesn't play out maybe the way you'd want it to, but you bring love into that and transform that into a sacred service of connection.
You and I talked a little bit, and I was like, sometimes when you're like so focused on, I don't have this, this isn't working out, da, 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 you miss all of this beauty and all this magic that's happening around you. You gotta open your eyes. The world is magic.
This is how she sees the world. I got to tell you, I wanted to bring her up here to you, for you to get to know her, because that light that is in her, the joy that she experiences when she's in service is palpable. And it's like, oh, I want more of that. Let me rub up on that, because it feels so good to feel your heart space. And when you massage people's feet, you said that you always wash their feet.
Always wash their feet. I had a client when I was in massage school who he came, and he had been taking care of his wife who had a cancer diagnosis for some time. And we allowed, the caretakers to come in. And I took his socks off, and his feet were dirty, and his socks smelled horrible. I came to learn that he had been giving all this to his wife. He wasn't giving any to himself. And so for him to allow me to wash his feet and just to be in service to him was a privilege. And I always tell my clients, if you want to touch someone all over, touch their feet. Feet are amazing. And I studied massage in Thailand, and they always taught us to wash the feet first. It's a way to calm and to get you into that space of relaxation first. And quite honestly, if Jesus could wash feet, I most certainly can wash feet. So, yeah.
No act of service too small. Yes.
No.
So you watched a movie when you were a little kid, and what was that movie about?
So if you all remember those after school specials they'd have, there was one about a woman and her daughter who became homeless for various reasons, and at some point the child was taken away to put her in a stable home. But this really affected my heart, and it bothered me. It hurt so bad. And I'm telling my mother this, and my mother was like, okay. Next day, we went downtown Detroit, because I'm from Detroit, to Coalition on Temporary Shelter. Hey, Loretta, I see you. To the Coalition on Temporary Shelter, Coalition on Temporary Shelter, and she put me in service. And that's just, my mother's like, if there's something that you can do, you should do. To complain without action doesn't seem to make any sense to her.
Wow.
So it's just what you do.
So it sounds like your mom had a very big heart.
My mom has an incredible heart.
Yeah. Okay, so you're driving down the road on a snowstorm. You're late to where you need to go one day. Yes. What happens with you and your mom?
My mother, we're on 96, and she sees this woman or a child on the side of the road, snowstorm. We're already late because we usually were. She gets off the freeway, comes back around to go to this woman and ask her, how can I help you? How can I serve you? What can I do? And so she takes this woman whose car had broken down back to her house in the opposite direction, making us even more late because it was the right thing to do. And that's just who she is. She went on vacation the first time she went to Jamaica. She came back with empty luggage and no money because she just gave it all away. Just give it away. More will come. Give it away. She taught me and teaches me regularly that abundance is ours. The divine wants us prosperous. If we want it, it's there for us. There is no lack. Mother, Father, God has a well house bigger than we could ever deplete. So give it away. Wow.
Okay, you made me lose my place. Okay. All right. So you went to India. You and John went to India for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And I wanted to share just a little bit about that. And first of all, I got to let you know that this woman has a really big space in her heart for children and a love for children. And so what happened when you saw children in India?
So when we first got there, we noticed a lot of the kids didn't have shoes on their feet. And, that can cause diseases and issues. And I'm like, what to do? And I was leisurely for a while. I really was. But I came to meet this wonderful woman, Anya Edwards, and she introduced me to the Little Lamb School. And the Little Lamb School serves children who are underserved or who otherwise may not get an education because they cannot afford the fees. So I met some of the children, and they were trying to protect their shoes, which were barely shoes. And I'm like, oh, can affect some change. So as a traveling spouse, I wasn't allowed to work there. So what I did was had a massage room set up in my home, and my clients came and they gave money, and that money went to buy shoes and socks for every child in that school. And actually they had extra in their store closet for the next one, because kids go through shoes very quickly. So, so it was a way that we had to kind of have this circle of love, because I'm going to the school and they're loving on me, and I'm loving on them, and I'm loving on the clients, and they're loving on me, and it was just like awesome.
You hear the theme here? It's like love. It's
all
love.
about love.
Yeah, and when you see
Yeah.
something in the world that isn't quite what you hoped it would be, I hear you say that's the opportunity.
Yeah,
The opportunity to
absolutely.
step up with your heart and give and share and serve in that space of this is what I've had to give you.
Yeah,
And
it gives you
yeah.
that deeper sense of community, because when you're in a country where you don't speak the language, and luckily a lot of people in India speak English, that's not the thing, but you don't have a connection. Sometimes it takes you a little bit longer to feel a part of a community. The fastest way to feel a part of any community, including this one, is to volunteer. Get involved. Your time, your talents, who you are is enough. Share it. You are amazing. Give it away.
And what happens when you do that?
Oh, it's just